In this series, I'm going to start with 3 Fire King structure decks at a budget of $25 a week to build a powerful, consistent, competitive, and most importantly, fun Yu-Gi-Oh deck. When the time is right, I'll take that deck to a regional, and then a YCS. The road won't be easy, but I know we can do it. Welcome to the Yu-Gi-Oh Budget Challenge. What's up, Ocean? You got Matt here, and welcome to the next episode of the Yu-Gi-Oh Budget Challenge. It's been a hot minute since I have mentioned those words, and I've been promising to bring back the series, and here we are. We're back. Last time around, we ended up going to locals and we played Tri-Brigade Fire King, and the best part about that episode, spoilers, was that we pulled an Ulti Chaos Angel. Now, I'm going to say this quickly because I managed to sell that Chaos Angel a long time ago. This episode has been in the works now for like 2 months, so my bad. But we are here today. We have a ton of money to upgrade our deck and to try and make some changes. So with that being said, if you're excited for the Yu-Gi-Oh Budget Challenge, then make sure to smash the like button and of course subscribe to the channel. We're on the road to 15,000 subscribers and we can't get there without your help. But with that being said, let's take a look at how we upgraded our deck for this week's episode. So today is a really big day because not only do we have our $25 budget, well, minus about $1.35 because we ended up going a bit over budget last time around, but we also managed to sell our copy of the Ultimate Chaos Angel for $75, which means our budget today is at $98.65. That Chaos Angel might have just changed the trajectory for this entire series. So with that being said, let's go ahead and jump into the upgrades that we're going to be adding to this deck. Now, I want to clarify, I'm not going to be using the entirety of our budget today. We're still going to have about $40-ish left over. And with that, again, I kind of want to decide if we want to go with another option or if we want to just save up for something else. So that being said, I decided to go ahead and start off our journey here by picking up 3 copies of Snake Eye Ash. Now listen, I know some of you are sick and tired of this deck, and I'll be honest with you, I personally am not. I am enjoying Snake Eye as a whole. I think the mirror match is very enjoyable for me personally. There's a lot of that at my locals. So having access to the Snake Eye cards would be good. But I managed to pick up 3 copies of Snake Eye Ash, each for $1.25, so that's $3.75 out of our budget. I also picked up a copy of Snake Eye Poplar. Poplar I picked up for $12 here, so that's a pretty significant hit to our budget here, but I think Poplar is great. I could go ahead and get a second copy. I don't think I'm going to do that just yet. If we decide, you know what, we want to keep going down this line with more Snake Eye cards, then yes, eventually I will pick up a copy of Poplar, but for the time being, I'm pretty happy with this. I also have 1 copy of Oak. Oak was a grand total of 50 cents, I believe it was. Yeah, 50 cents. So in general, all these cards here costing us almost nothing. I'm pretty happy with this. Of course, we also have the 1 copy of original Sinful Spoils as well. This as an ultra rare being what, $2, $2.50? $2.50 is what I got it for. It ends up being a great addition. I was thinking actually about getting a second copy, but I don't really think it's that necessary because the thing is there are some lines where we get access to original Sinful Spoils before getting to Poplar, and that means that Poplar search is basically dead, so I want to have access to maybe a second copy, but we don't necessarily need it. Our next card we're picking up, of course, is the 1 copy of Flamberge Dragon. If you're playing Snake Eye Fire King, then you really don't need to have more than 1 copy, and we're playing Snake Eye Fire King. So for that reason, I'm happy that we're having the 1 copy. This we ended up picking up for a total of $10. So right now, just these, 7 cards here, 7 cards here, we're looking at a grand total of, we're looking at $28.75. Very low. I'm happy with this. This is just about our budget, but we can't compete with this specific variant unless we have additional cards. And this is where the rest of the engine kind of comes into play. So I'm gonna put these aside. But what we added into this deck as well to kind of increase the consistency, because obviously we can't afford Wanted, we can't afford Bonfire, we can't afford Diabellstar. That's 9 cards that would increase consistency for this strategy. So instead, I picked up 3 copies of Parallel Exceed. Now, Parallel Exceed is insane in this specific build. Parallel Exceed plus a copy of Kit or Nerval or Fractal is basically like full combo. And it's full Tri-Brigade Fire King combo plus access to a bunch of the Snake Eye stuff as well. It is insanely strong. So Parallel Exceed is great. I picked up each of these copies here for $1, so $3 out of our budget. Moving on to our extra deck, I have the 1 copy of Infernal Flame Banshee. This is the card that makes Parallel Exceed so good. The reason why Parallel Exceed is so strong is because it gets us access to 2 rank 4s on the field, 2 level 4s on the field rather, for Infernal Flame Banshee. We detach from Banshee and we can add Poplar to hand, use the effect to summon itself, use the effect to add original, and we get full combo from there to either our Snake Eye or our Fire King lineup. It is a fantastic option, so I really like this. Infernal Flame Banshee is an ultra out of Agov, and it is about $2 as well. So pretty happy with that again. Then, of course, we have the mandatory cards you have to play in Snake Eye Fire King to be able to get access to the max potential, being the one copy of Promethean Princess, which we picked up for $20, the one copy of Amble Whale, which we picked up for $1.25, and the one copy of World Sea Dragon Zealantis, which we picked up for, this one was 50 cents. So these are our upgrades, okay? Princess, insanely expensive, almost our entire budget right there, but I'm thrilled that we ended up pulling the Chaos Angel and selling that so we could get access to all this extra cash for the Promethean Princess. And just right there, this lineup here is insane. We have a lot of changes to make to the deck, so let's go ahead and take a look. So I'll be honest, it's been a while since I sat down and recorded something for the budget challenge, and what you guys just saw before this part of the video was filmed like a month and a half ago, so it's been quite a while. But that being said, since I filmed that video, there has been changes on the ban list. We have now obviously Linkuriboh being banned, and Burrow to Floor, Borlos Savage Dragon, Summon Limit, all these cards being hits, which are direct hits basically to Snake Eye in a way. That being said though, our deck is not super affected by it. It's really only one card being Linkuriboh, and we have alternatives for that anyways. So let's take a look at our deck profile because we are making significant changes because of what we ended up adding for this week's episode. So our first card we're adding, of course, is going to be the one copy of Fire King Ponix. We have our Sacred Fire King Garunix as well as our Fire King Avatar Arvada. We are running 2 copies of Kirin. I was debating going to 3, but I think 2 is plenty. We also have the 1 copy of Sanctuary and the 1 copy of Island, as I realized the glare there is absolutely awful. Okay, I managed to kind of fix it over here, so fingers crossed that this works out well. So that being said, this is our Fire King package. 7 cards, gets the job done really well. We have really good ways to recycle them, so I'm not too worried about the size of the package. We're also, of course, playing 3 copies of Snake Eye Ash, being our best normal summon in the deck, followed by the 1 copy of Poplar and the 1 copy of Oak that we have. Again, debating going to Poplar eventually, but we'd have to buy it. We have the copy of Flamber's Dragon. We don't need 2 copies because we're playing the Fire King variant. We have the original Sinful Spoils as well, and our 1-for-1, which is essentially going to be getting us, majority of the time it'll be Snake Eye Ash, and very little of the time it'll be our copy of Ponix. That's going to be our Snake Eye engine. Moving on to our Beast Warrior engine, our Tri-Brigade engine. We of course have the 3 copies of the Fire Formation Tenki as our main searcher. This card, opening this card with any way access to our copy of our Snake Eye package is insane because we get to search and we get to send it off the effect of our Snake Eye monsters. To pair with this, we also have not 1, not 2, but 3 copies of Tri-Brigade Fractal, which will be able to dump our copy of Kits, which will be able to dump our copy of Nerval, which will then add our singular copy of Karas, and also we have our copy of Revolt. So there we go. This is our Tri-Brigade package here. I think it makes sense. It's the biggest package in the deck right now, and we'll see how much we end up liking it going down the line. But I think for right now, the fact that it gets us a search, just having access to Nerval or Kit is basically full combo with a Snake Eye monster, I should say. So I really like that combination as well in this situation. And Revolt is really nice. Just gotta be careful of zone placement. That being said though, let's move on to our next package, which is going to be just a very brief package of 3 copies of Parallel Exceed. This card is here to get us into our copy of Infernal Flame Banshee, which will then get us to all of our Snake Eye plays. We then have our Hand Trap lineup, which we have 3 copies of Imperm, paired with 3 copies of Ash, 3 Nibiru, and 3 Effect Veiler, as well as the 1 Called by the Grave to round it out. So that's going to be our non-engine package. The deck size is at 43 cards in the deck. I was debating cutting a copy of Veiler to make sure I had room, and a copy of Fractal as well, maybe a Tenki depending on how things went, but I felt like the lineup is pretty damn good. Moving on though to our extra deck, we have the 1 Relinquished Anima and the Salmon Great Almirage. These are essentially our replacements for Linkuriboh. We have Hita and we have Dark as well as our 2 Link 2s that are going to be able to steal opposing monsters. We have IP still legal until, well, maybe Rarity Collection 2's post ban list. We'll see what happens there. We then have our Tri-Brigade package of the Fairjeet, the Bearbrum, and the Shureg. I'm also playing Unicorn here as well with our newly added Promethean Princess as our 2 Link 3s that we have. We're also playing the Amble Whale as part of the Promethean Princess package with Abramax for just very tech options. It is definitely a cuttable card and probably will be replaced pretty shortly. We also have an Appaloosa, our Zelantis, and we have the one Infernal Flame Banshee as well as our main ways to be able to then search out our copy of our Pyro monsters. So that's going to be our extra deck. Again, pretty explanatory, pretty self-explanatory, I should say. It's honestly makes a lot of sense. I'm not too disappointed with how the extra deck is. It really is going to come down to eventually, are we going to get SP, which it's not looking super likely. That being said, our side deck is going to be the 3 copies of Droll and Lockbird. We're also playing 3 Ghost Bell and Haunted Mansion with the 2 Cosmic Cyclone and the 1 Duster, which I'll put over here. We have 2 Pankratops as well as just really good board breakers that can kind of replace Fenrir, kind of. We also have 2 Evenly as more board breakers, and to round it off, we have 2 copies of Triple Tactic Talents. So that's going to be our deck for this week's episode of the Budget Challenge. I'm hoping that it can perform decently well. We have a few games scheduled today at locals, and hopefully they end up going well. So that being said, let's go ahead and jump right into the duels. So every second week, my locals host an event that's free to enter for everyone in an effort to get more people as possible to join our community. And that's exactly what we have today, a free entry tournament. It just means that some people are going to play their meta deck to try and get better with them, while others are going to play rogue decks. And honestly, that's exactly what's going to happen in these matches. Round 1, we played against Exo's sister. I lost the die roll, and game 1 I was able to survive his battle phase after having to set pass to play around Shifter. I then broke his board and OTK'd. Game 2, he goes first with full Exo sister combo, but I'm feeling pretty good that I can break it with my hand. But on the resolution of my Tenki, he drolls me, so I have no choice but to try and get something on the field that's threatening. I go through full tri-brigade engine, but I don't add anything off of Nerval because of droll. I then normal summon the second kit in my hand, link for Almirage, and trigger Parallel Exceed. He banishes my Almirage to have Exceed resolve without effect. I then set 1 and pass the turn. In the standby phase, he goes for Vadis, and I chain Revolt. If I waited any further, the Exo sister monsters would have triggered to Exceed summon. I banish 4 for Shureg, and on resolution I banish Sophia as he banishes my Shureg. And even with Kieran in my hand to protect myself, he has too much on field and he can OTK. Going into game 3, I'm feeling pretty good about my opening hand. I start with the Tenki for Fractal, and once again he has Droll. So in the 3 games we've played, I've been hit with Shifter, Droll, and Droll. It is what it is because this time I have the called by. But of course, he chains Ghost Bell. Very frustrating, I know, but I still have talents, so I talents to hand rip and I get rid of his Martha, leaving him with 2 Sakitama. I set Fractal and pass the turn, and this was a big misplay that might have cost me the game, because I have no other starter in hand. He summons Caspatel and attempts to add a card, while I hit him with an Ash Blossom. He goes to battle phase, attacks over my Fractal, makes a Zeus, and then passes turn. I have to find exactly a starter right now to have a chance to win the game, but by the time I do, he has the Imperm for the Snake Eye Ash, and that's just the game. So we start the tournament with a 0-1 record, but round 2 we're going up against Going Second Sky Striker, which is our feature match for today. I start with a normal summon of Nerval, link into Almirage to add kits for follow-up, and set Imperm. I end up keeping the second copy of Imperm in my hand because I know he plays a lot of back row removal like Lightning Storm and Feather Duster. He normal summons Ray, attacks over the Almirage, dealing 1500 damage, and then attacks with Hayate, sending Engage. In main 2, he links for Kagari, and I Imperm him as he tries to recycle back the Engage. Then he goes for Shizuku, sets 3 cards, and passes turn. But before he goes to end phase, I use the effect of Kieran, destroying the kit in my hand to summon itself. I then trigger Kit, sending Nerval and adding Karas. In the end phase, he adds linkage off of Shizuku. I draw for turn, activate Tenki to add Arvada. I normal summon Karas, banish 2, and then get hit with the infinite impermanence. I then Kieran in the hand to destroy the Kieran on the field, and I use the effect to summon out Arvada from my hand and destroy another back row. At this point, all he has in hand is a linkage and an unknown card. I want to keep him off of monsters, so I make a play to try and get rid of his Ray. I link Karas and Arvada into IP, and then I link IP and Kieran for Dark. I use Dark's effect targeting his Ray in Graveyard, but of course he has the Widow Anchor. I set Imperm and pass turn here, but I know he has linkage, so he can dodge my Imperm and just OTK, so at this point I just scoop. In game 2, I make him go first because I know he doesn't have a lot of turn 1 plays. He summons Ray, links for Shizuku, and passes turn. I have the Imperm for Shizuku in the end phase to stop the effect, and I draw for turn. In main phase, I special summon Pankratops and then use the Fractal to go through full tri-brigade lineup. Kit send Nerval, Nerval add Karas. I normal Karas, banish 2 for Ferrijit, and link Ferrijit and Karas for Bearbrum. And then I use Ferrijit's effect and I find Tenki. I use it to then search for Arvada. I go to combat and use Pankratops to attack over Shizuku, and when he activates Ray, I use the Ghost Bell. And unfortunately, because of the tri-brigade restriction, I can't link off with the Pankratops and have to pass the turn. In main phase, he goes for Lightning Storm, destroying my monsters. I then use Bear Brum to add Revolt and bottom deck a triple tactic talents that was dead. He goes for Engage to search for Ray, normal summons it, swings in for 15, and then links for Hayate and attacks for another 1500 and then sends Hornet Drones off the effect. In main 2, he goes for Kagari, brings back Engage, and then uses triple tactic thrust for infinite impermanence to get a third spell in the graveyard. He then activates Engage again, adding multi-roll and drawing a card. He activates multi-roll here and links for Shizuku, adding Shark Cannon in the end phase, activating it to banish a Fractal, and then bringing it back and setting it with the multi-roll. I draw Ash Blossom for turn, just a single turn too late, and I set Revolt and pass. He dusters me in main, and I chain Revolt to summon Shureg, chain 1 Shureg, chain 2 Kit, chain 3 Nerval, and he chainlink 4's Widow Anchor to negate and take the Shureg. At this point, I'm only at 5,000 life, so all he needs to do is link for Kagari and swing for game, and he's got it. Into round 3, we're 0-2 and we're playing against a Morphage. Yes, a Morphage. The pilot's actually been really enjoying the deck and getting some nice wins with it, but he bricked both games we played, and I actually saw Snake Eye and Fire King cards this round, so we got a quick 2-0 win. So that didn't go very well at all. We went 1-2 on the day, and honestly, if we weren't playing a deck that actually has a competent engine over something like a Morphage, we could have very likely just gone 0-3, which is terrible. But I'm really happy to finally be done with this episode for 2 reasons. First off, it took a while for me to get it to you. Second, the episode was like cursed or something. Footage being corrupted, plus, again, not having a lot of legal plays in the first time I went to record this. So this was the 3rd time I actually went to locals with this deck. And the thing that I learned about it, even though I had a really hard time with a lot of the engine itself, is that the engine, the tri-brigade engine especially, just isn't that good. And part of that is because I just suck with that part of the deck, and you know, that's just how it's going to be for certain strategies, but I really want to kind of take this and pivot it to something a bit more like Snake Eye Fire King, because we actually have a lot of the money needed to do that now. As of recording, Wanteds are like $20 a copy, and I'm not saying I'm going to go ahead and start playing that version of the deck, but I am going to at least start to add in a few more different engine pieces that pair better with the deck than the tri-brigade cards do. So we have about $45 left over from this week's episode, plus $25 for next week's. We should have a ton of money to be able to just upgrade our strategy even further. But with that being said, I am going to try and bring you the next episode in 2 to 3 weeks time. I'm going on my honeymoon, so I'm going to be away for a while, and it's just good to have this series available as like a backlog of videos in case I end up being delayed or something. So for that reason, I should have another video in this series available in a couple of weeks. But if you enjoyed the video, do me a favor and smash the like button. It lets me know that you're enjoying the content and that you want to see more of it. Also, comment down below what your thoughts are on the episode and where you want to see the series go as well. Subscribe if you haven't already. We're on the road to 15,000 subscribers, and we can't get there without your help. And check me out on Twitter and join the Discord server. Thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you all next time.